हाँ अंकित, गुड इवनिंग। गुड
गुड
इवनिंग
इवनिंग
अंकित,
सर।
आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ आ रही है।
गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड इवनिंग
हेलो।
अंकित। वेलकम टू रामा कृष्णा आईएएस अकेडमी गूगल
गुड
मीट
इवनिंग सर।
सेशन 7th JPSC interview guidance program. So Ankit, are you ready to answer my questions?
Yes, I think I am ready to answer your questions.
Okay Ankit, your first question is on Narendra Modi's ongoing Europe visit. जो अभी मोदी जी यूरोप जा रहे हैं, टूर कर रहे हैं, उसी के ऊपर पहला क्वेश्चन है आपसे। What do you think why this visit is important in
Okay, sir.
current scenario?
So the visit is very important in current scenario because if we look at the current scenario, which is mostly governed by the war between USA and between Russia and Ukraine,
Good.
and the main motto the main motto of the trip should be, and the main goal of the trip should be attracting foreign investment towards India, because the nations of Europe, especially Germany, France, Denmark, etc., to which the Modi is going to have a meet with, have clearly stated that they are no longer going to do a business with Russia. So India is trying to uh, grasp the opportunity, and India will be able to bring some investment towards itself. The industries in India will be benefited by it, by the forex investment, and India is trying to attract the investment which has left Russia, because they are not going to do a business with Russia.
Very
Moreover,
good.
India on there is a dependency of India on Russia, which is in terms of military weapons and other technologies. And there is also a dependency of European nations such as Germany, France, Denmark, etc., towards Russia in terms of energy.
Very good.
Because if you look at the energy needs of Germany, which is a leader of the G7 nation,
Very good.
50% of the gases Germany import from Russia. And Germany has taken a very clear stance towards the war between Russia and Ukraine. It stated that it is no longer going to have any trade relations with Russia unless and until it is very necessary. And a significant step, we can see that it has prohibited and completely abandoned the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which was being commissioned between Russia and Germany. So there is a common goal between two nations that we have to move away from the over dependence towards a nation, which is Russia. The two nations should come together and cooperate with each other.
Very good. Very
so we
good.
can also see that.
Fantastic.
So we can see that the main nation.
Ankit,
the main nations which have been targeted.
Ankit, your point is India is Modi is visiting Europe mainly for investment. Can you have any idea regarding Russia-Ukraine war context?
So the main thing is the whole situation is in lieu with the Russia and Ukraine war itself, because when the war started, few nations of the European Union, especially Germany, clearly backed off from doing business with Russia. So now the companies will have to invest somewhere. India is a very good breeding ground of such investments, because new businesses, cheap and skilled labor is available in India. So if those countries and companies try to invest in India, it will be a very good breeding ground for their business. So India is trying to attract the companies which are no longer doing business with Russia.
Okay. Is any another angle, economic angle, other than investment?
So other than, I think an angle is the cooperation in power sector, because India has a goal of becoming self-sufficient. So does Germany. And Germany in recent history has stated that it will help India by donating about $1 trillion to achieve the goal of zero emissions by 2031.
Very good.
So there is a common interest between India and Germany to become energy independent. they should not be dependent on nations uh, which have sort of monopoly in the power sector, like Russia, which has a very huge conventional fuel storage such as natural gas and petroleum. So if we move away towards some non-conventional sources of energy such as wind energy and solar energy, we can get rid of that over dependence on some nation.
Very good. Which country Modi planned to visit, Ankit?
So the initial plan was to visit three countries of European Union. First was France, second was Denmark, and third was Germany. And during the whole meet or during the total visit of the nations, another thing was planned, which is known as India Nordic Summit. Second India Nordic Summit it is. It is a summit between the 5 Nordic nations and India. So 5 Nordic nations being the North European nations, which are surrounded by the North Atlantic Ocean. They are Finland, Denmark, Sweden, and one is Iceland. So these are the nations which are the Nordic nations, and India started a meeting with Nordic nations in 2018. This is the second Indo-Nordic meeting.
Very good.
And especially with the nations, Modi stated that the Nordic nations and Nordic companies should invest in blue economic projects in India. And a prime example of which is Sagarmala project, which is intended and focusing towards the development of ports and coasts of India. The main intention of this project is to decrease the logistics costs of India by development of ports. So Modi has invited the companies from Denmark especially and the Nordic nations to invest in these projects.
Very good, Ankit. You have very detailed knowledge of this ongoing visit. Do you know what is the capital of Denmark?
Yeah.
Capital of Denmark?
Yes, it is Copenhagen.
Okay. And capital of Germany?
Copenhagen it is.
Capital of Germany?
It's Berlin.
Very good. Very good.
Berlin, sir, it is.
Very good, Ankit. Ankit, you must have heard news on a state versus center on fuel taxes. There is a debate over this. You have heard this news?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There was a meeting between the Prime Minister and the Minister.
Why this debate?
So it has been a long-standing topic between the states and the center, that which of them should reduce their share of taxes. So if we look at the total economics of petroleum products, apart from the initial cost of the petroleum products, central government imposes central excise duties, and the states are free to impose VAT and cess. Cess, however, is imposed by both center as well as the states. So if we look at the total imposition of total taxes which are imposed on petroleum, the central cess as well as excise duty comprises about 35 rupees as of December 2021. If the initial cost of petroleum was rupees 40 crude oil.
You are telling share of taxes between center and state.
Yes, sir.
What is the share?
I am telling that.
What is the share of taxes?
What taxes are imposed over? So means from the data which was there in December 2021. If we look at the original prices of petroleum products, it was rupees 40. Now a central cess and excise duty of rupees 35 to 37 was imposed by central government, and a VAT of rupees almost 23, 15 to 35 maybe, depending upon the size of the state's economy, was imposed by the states. So the topic of debate is whether the states should reduce the taxations and the VAT. The states say that because now all the taxations they earlier had the right on has been moved into GST, the central government is collecting the taxes and the states are pleading the central government to give their share of taxes. And many times central government is becoming a defaulter. If we look at the current scenario, the a debt is there about 95,000 crore rupees. West Bengal central government owes rupees 95,000 crore to West Bengal in terms of taxation debt of GST, about 25,000 crores to Maharashtra. So such is the scenario. Even if you provide whole taxation in hands of state government, the states will not have the bargaining power. So they want some bargaining power in their hands. That is why it is one of the major reasons the petroleum products and the alcohol are not being moved to GST bracket.
Okay. Okay. So in a recent statement, PM has said that the state should reduce taxes on petroleum products. The state should reduce. Okay, give your
Yes,
views
sir.
on it.
Yes, sir.
Give your views on it.
So it clearly means that states are to reduce taxes. It clearly means that they will have to reduce the VAT. And if you look at the gross collection of total revenue, states get about 15 to 35% of their total revenue from taxes in the form of VAT over petroleum products as well as alcohol products. So if states let go of this thing and reduce the taxation from VAT, and in a case whether they don't get their share from the central government, it will be very difficult for them to run the state. So state hold their ground that they cannot reduce the VAT. Rather, the center should reduce the excise duty on the petroleum.
Very good. Very good, Ankit. And the next question is, what do you think when petroleum should move out from VAT to GST? When the perfect time is?
Sir, very prominent personality, Sunil Kumar Sinha. He is a senior economist of India Ratings and Researches. He has stated that because the overall tax bracket now in terms of GST works in such a way that the central government is collecting all the taxes and the state governments are left with only petroleum products and alcohol. So state government won't let go of these two things because they only have these resources to collect tax from. If these are included into GST, the state government will have no say over the taxations, and it will have to look towards the central government for each and every penny they will have to spend on their development projects. So in near future, I don't think there is a possibility that the two items will be moved into GST bracket. Rather, they will be kept out of it, and VAT could be imposed on them.
Very good. Okay, Ankit. Now, tell me the regions that what led to the collapse of Sri Lankan economy. Be specific. Only you should give in points.
Okay. So the reasons are several. Some major reasons are first, Sri Lanka is a tourism-based industry, service sector-based economy it is, and the story started in 2018 when there was Easter bombings, which led to the death of about 260 to 270 people. It hampered the tourism very much. So the blow started from there. Moreover, Sri Lanka, to promote its now to regain the lost hold of the tourism industry, stated that it will reduce the taxation to 50% of the initial value, so that the people would be spending more money, and that is why the size of the economy will grow. But as soon as the decision was announced, COVID-19 came by, and people were forced into lockdown, so no expenditure took place. So now the coffer of the government started to deplete because taxations had been reduced to half and there was no expenditure. Third was Sri Lanka's sudden move to organic agriculture. So Sri Lanka stated that there will be no chemical pesticides and fertilizers used. Rather, everything will be organic. And this, because there is a trend that if we move from a chemical-based agriculture to organic agriculture, the productivity decreases slightly. This has been in the case of Sikkim also in India. If we'll study Sikkim, we'll find that Sikkim also saw this kind of trend. But Sri Lanka abruptly implemented the policy. This also led to the decline. And fourth is China's debt trap diplomacy. It gives loan to some nations, small nations, for development projects, and if the nations are not able to repay the loan, it gains the territory of that nation. So these four
Okay.
factors are responsible for the thing.
It means services sector downfall and import dependency. Second point is import dependency. And
Yes.
third is
And sir, sudden abrupt economic decisions of the government like
okay,
taxations and
okay,
switch to organic farming.
okay. And import dependency led to foreign exchange reserve downfall. Foreign exchange
Yes.
foreign exchange deficit.
Yes, sir. Sri Lanka is a nation which is very much, yes, sir. Foreign exchange. We can see a data that in 2019, the gross debt of the economy was about 94%. And in 2021, it rose to 119% of the total economy. So Sri Lanka became bankrupt in 2020.
Fourth reason you told about China. China has given so much of debts to
Yes, sir.
Sri Lanka, and that was the reason. Don't you think, Ankit, Sri Lanka's love towards China has a killer effect on his economy?
So we can say this because China has this kind of diplomacy. It
This kind
is
of diplomacy.
very popularly known as diplomacy. I think if India employs the same tactics over Pakistan, it can gain the hold of POK too.
Pakistan having same problem like Sri Lanka because of
Yes, so it
China's
is all its economy is also on the verge of collapse.
bilkul. Recently, Ankit, have you heard the news that Pakistan is in FATF grey list? Have you heard this? What are the
Yes, sir. It has
what
been
are
an
the
effective grey list from I think. Yes, sir.
what are the consequences of this thing for Pakistan?
So the consequences are quite clear that Pakistan won't be able to gain debts from for development purposes from World Bank as well as World Trade Organization as far as long as it is in the grey list, FATF grey list. And more nations will avoid giving loan to Pakistan, and economy which is at the verge of collapse and in a desperate need of loan will eventually collapse if not provided proper aid. So it is very difficult time for Pakistan, and a new government has been there. So it is very difficult time for them too because they have clearly stated that our coffers are empty and we are looking for loans to aid our nation.
Very good. Who is the new Prime Minister of Pakistan, Ankit?
It is Shahbaz Sharif, the cousin of Nawaz Sharif, former Prime Minister.
What do you think this change in power regime in Pakistan? Is there any relationship change with India? How it affect the
So
relationship
let us see.
with
Let should
India?
be we should be hope. So the current steps of the new prime minister has not been very encouraging, but let's be hopeful and hope for the best. And as India doesn't provoke anything, we rather have opt for a reactive approach. So if Pakistan would want a friendship, we will be ready for that. And if it wants
Okay,
the current scenario to go on, we'll handle it strictly and strongly.
very good. One more question regarding Pakistan, Ankit. What do you think in future India
Yes, sir.
can capture Pakistan occupied Kashmir?
So, so in current scenario means in current world, I don't think the weapons play much role. Rather, economy is the biggest weapon each and every nation has. We have seen this in form of sanctions by the various developed nations towards Russia. So if India has become about fourth or fifth largest economy of the world, and Pakistan is having an economic crisis. So if India plays a card such as debt trap diplomacy, such as China, so we will be able to capture Pakistan's POK,
Okay.
because if we lend them some loans,
You want to
if we lend them some loans and
it means you
take
want to
that,
capture Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Is it feasible?
so it is a disputed territory. But if we so, we will know about it if we give it a shot, whether it is feasible or not, and it should be non. It should not be a military action. Rather, it should be from different ways, because in current world, economy is the strongest power we have, and if India proves to be such a strong economy, we can easily tackle Pakistan.
Just like China, if we follow China, we can capture a Pakistan occupied Kashmir in this way, I think.
So it is difficult, but we can, because the nation which is doing its investment in Pakistan is China itself. So if we want to counter Pakistan, we'll have to counter China too.
You are saying that military is not necessary. You can capture Pakistan occupied Kashmir through other means, like जैसे चीन ने श्रीलंका को डेप्ट दिया, चीन ने पाकिस्तान को डेप्ट दिया, है ना? So India should use like that type of thing.
Yes.
Economic slave बना लेना चाहिए, नहीं?
Yes, it's debt trap. बिल्कुल वही होना चाहिए, क्योंकि दो नेशंस जो कि एटॉमिक एनर्जी से इक्विप्ड है और जिनके पास न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड है, वो सीधे वॉर में नहीं जा सकते, खास करके दो डेमोक्रेसीज कभी वॉर में नहीं जाना चाहती.
ओके, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड.
तो दूसरा ऑप्शन यही है कि आप इकोनॉमी से.
वेरी गुड. ओके अंकल, नाउ कम टू झारखंड पावर क्राइसिस. In fact, not only in Jharkhand, almost power crisis is a issue of almost all over India. What are the reasons behind this power crisis?
Yes, sir. So it started in October 2021, but that was a coal crisis, not exactly a power crisis. But now this time it is a power crisis. Coal is there, coal is scarce, but it is not as scarce as it was in October 2021. Rather, it is a power crisis, and there are certain reasons for it. First, the coal which India imports is from Australia and Indonesia. The prices have gone very high due to the war between Russia and Ukraine, due to the disruption of supply chains. So 1 ton coal is now priced at about $330, which is way higher than its initial cost. And if we look at the main cause of power demand in India and the power failure is the sudden increase in power demand in March 2022. Being stated that India is seeing its hottest March in about 121 years. So the power supply surged suddenly, and the governments were not ready to fulfill that amount of power demand. So staged power cuts are being felt throughout the nation, and two states, specifically Jharkhand and Uttarakhand, are being the biggest sufferers of this. Even the state as industrialized as Gujarat is seeing staged power cuts. And the government is planning this because Kharif season is on our doorstep. The farmers will be needing electricity. So the states are saving some of it to give it to farmers when the time comes. This is one reason. And the second is as we have National Stock Exchange, we also have National Energy Exchange, where the producers produce and store their energy, and the distributors are able to buy the energy from there and distribute to the various parts of the nation. So as the prices of the coal hiked throughout the world, the prices of electricity in the Indian Energy Exchange also hiked. At the beginning of the March, it was about rupees 3 per unit. and about mid of the March, it surged to about 13 rupees per unit. So the distributors are not willing to buy electricity at such a huge loss. That is why there is a situation of power crisis too.
Any more reasons?
So, and one more reason is the domestic coal supply chain disruption in domestic coal. The Coal India states that India should increase its coal production to about 700 million metric tons, and India is only 600 million metric tons. So this is a major cost too.
Okay, very good, Ankit. Okay, Ankit, tell me, how can India move away from fossil fuels?
So the plan India is having is very clear that move move towards nuclear fission energy, and it has planned it in three stages. Stage one has been completed in 2013 itself. Stage two is where we stand, and we are developing 12 new nuclear reactors throughout the nation. 9 are in construction, 12 have been planned, and the places have been marked, and they will be completed towards 2024.
Very good.
And about this will add. So, if we look at two sources of energy, one is non-renewable sources of energy which we are using, and two alternatives we have. One is non-conventional renewable sources which contain tidal energy, solar energy, etc. And second is conventional but cleaner energy, which is nuclear energy. So we go down the non-conventional line of solar energy. It has many problems. First, the technology is quite new. Initial cost of setup is very high, and the energy density, that is energy from a particular area, is very less. But if we move down the second road, that is of the nuclear energy, it is very cheap, safe, and energy efficiency is quite high, very high. You can set up a small plant in a small area and it can power the whole city. So India is having an ambitious projects of developing these nuclear power plants and nuclear reactors, and this is the way, because in future, if we look at the current greenhouse emissions, India shares about 6.5% of the total world emissions. Of this, two-thirds are from energy sector itself. So if India achieves its plan of nuclear power stations and nuclear reactors, it will be carbon neutral till 2031.
Very good.
So in my view, we should move towards nuclear energy.
Very good. Okay, Ankit, do you have heard the recent news of Indonesia banned palm oil exports?
Yes, Indonesia
What is
banned palm
what is
oil
the
exports
consequence?
because it wanted to control the. So consequence is very sharp disruption of supply chain, because India is the biggest purchaser of the palm oil from Indonesia, and Indonesia is the biggest producer of palm oil in the world. It produces about 50% of the total palm oil. So Indonesia has taken this step because it wanted to control the inflation in Indonesia, and experts say that the supply will start within 2 or 3 weeks till the inflation in Indonesia gets controlled. But India is one of the biggest sufferers in this scenario, because the supply chain of sunflower oil has been disrupted because Ukraine was the biggest producer of sunflower oil. So sunflower oil is not available anymore due to the war between Russia and Ukraine. And this move is a huge blow to Indian economy, especially for the price of edible oils, because 40% of the Indian household uses about palm oil in their kitchen. So till the supplies are restored, India will have to suffer. But it will be a minor effect because India has a huge economy and it will mitigate it.
Okay, very good. Okay, Ankit, tell me one more thing. What is the gross national debt? Gross national debt as a percentage of GDP right now.
So it is somewhat bit about 90%, because In 2021, at the end of 2021, it has reached 90%, and it is somewhere near that figure.
Okay. Do you know what should be the gross national debt for India? What should be? What ought to be?
Yes, sir.
What is sustainable debt for India?
So ideally, it has been proposed for sustainable debt. The percentage should be not more than 60% of the total GDP.
Total GDP of what? For India or states also? मतलब between
So total GDP,
total
if we
GDP,
are looking,
all states, including whole India. Only central government, you are telling about
so
central
total,
government, only central government or center and the state government combined GDP.
so, so, so total GDP means the total goods and services which are being produced in the mainland of the nation.
Okay, very good. Okay, Ankit. So, can you do you think India is heading towards like Sri Lanka's type of economy? If we are having so much of debt, so we have like Sri Lanka type of economic crisis.
So looking initially, we can state it, but WTO has stated that for India, it is not going to be such scenario because India will rebound, and it is mainly an effect of COVID-19 that India's economy collapsed at that time, and it had to take such a debts to manage the infrastructure projects which India had initiated. And if we compare the sizes of the economies of Sri Lanka, India, and Pakistan, India now has almost surpassed Britain to become fourth largest economy of the world. So for India, it is not very viable to say that India is going to face a situation like Sri Lanka because most of the investments are in the infrastructure projects, which in long term will be very productive for us. We are not consuming the debts we are taking. Rather, we are putting it in progressive works such as infrastructure development.
We are creating assets.
Yes, sir. We are creating assets from it.
Okay. And have you heard the news? Record bilateral trade progress of 15% with China in Q1 of 2020-22. Have you heard this? Bilateral trade between India and China.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you think it is good use dependency?
So bilateral trade between India and China.
Bilateral trade between India and China is 15%. Do you know the import-export figure in this bilateral trade?
So the total bilateral trade in Q1 of 2022-2023 economic year, as compared to the economic year 2020 and 2021 and 2022, it has increased by 15%. But the matter of concern is the export of India has significantly shrunk, and the export from the side of China has significantly increased. So total economy total trade has become about $31 billion US, and there has been an increase of about 13.5%. Because we are always the sufferer. Whenever we are trading with China, because India always has a huge trade deficit when we trade with China, because India exports only one or two items, iron ore being one of the major items, and now China has stopped importing iron ore from India, almost stopped. It is managing iron ore from its land itself. So India now become hugely dependent on China for its needs, parts for mobile industry. 70% of the chemicals for pharmaceutical industry are being imported from China. So we will have to reduce this dependency on China.
Okay, very good. Have you heard poison bill, recent a term in current scenario? Poison pill.
Yes, so it was a term Yes, sir. So, poison pill, it was a term when I heard this when there was a news of acquisition of Twitter by Elon Musk. So upon study, I found that it is an economic economic tool which companies initiate and activate when they think there is a danger of hostile takeover of the company. Uh, for for example, if you want to become the owner of a company, you have two ways. Either you sign a deal with board of directors that I want this much share of the company and pay them. And second is the back door. You gradually acquire such of the share by purchasing small amount bits of share that you have a very huge lump of share of that company. So now your you are holding share equal to the board of members. So the poison pill, what it does it prohibits this backdoor entry of a hostile person. So certain things it does is first, there's a dilution of shares. So the total value of the shares increases. So the person who is purchasing the share, for him it is now costly affair to buy shares. And second is it starts to charge a premium over certain limit. For example, if a premium is set, the threshold value is set at 10%, and if you are trying to purchase a share beyond 10%, then you will have to pay a very huge sum of money. A few premium will be charged, and thus it will be very difficult for the person to accumulate shares. So this is how the poison pill works.
Very good. One more question for you is what is cryptocurrency?
So cryptocurrency is a digital form of currency which is not issued by a localized authority. For example, if our currency is being issued by RBI, it is a localized authority which is present within India. But the cryptocurrency is present all over the internet, and it is mined. The process of producing a cryptocurrency is called the mining of the cryptocurrency, and it is distributed throughout the internet, and no one owner is there.
Okay. And what is blockchain?
So blockchain is a technology which is behind all these cryptocurrency things, and blockchain is a sort of identity, generic identity, which is created on the internet and cannot be altered once created. So if something, suppose a painting is sold
Okay.
by an e-auction, internet auction, and I purchase the painting, that will be imprinted in the blockchain mechanism, and no one can alter that thing. There will always be that data present that a certain painting was sold for this much amount, and who is the current owner of the painting. So that data cannot be altered. It is a very safe technology, and now the various nations like India is also trying to initiate money transactions over blockchain.
Okay, very good. These currencies are legal in India or not?
So by the recently, our finance minister by the cryptocurrency bill stated that these currencies are not legal in India. These are not the legal tenders and cannot be used to do trade and any other give and take of goods and services in the nation.
Okay.
And even if the person tries to use it, they will be charged. Taxation will be there.
Okay. Taxation will be there, but that is not legal tender money in India. Very good. What do you think? What is the future of
Yes, sir.
these currencies?
So if cryptocurrency, particularly two or three currencies are very famous. One is Ethereum, another is Bitcoin. These are very famous currencies, but these are delocalized. Who is authorizing them? From where they are being produced? It is not known. So if certain group tries to influence your economy, and these currencies are in huge amount in your economy, they will be easily able to manipulate your economy by increasing the flow of these currencies. Taking out these currencies from your economy will trigger inflations and depressions. So to allow such currencies in your economy is not a very good idea. Rather, RBI should bring its own digital currency. which it is planning to do so.
Very good. Now come again to Jharkhand, Ankit. What are your suggestions to improve agriculture in Jharkhand?
Okay, sir. So Jharkhand, if we look at the total scenario of agriculture in Jharkhand, about 95% of the households are small and marginal farmers, which are indulged in agriculture, and they produce mainly rice as their crop. So they they should move towards value addition crops such as the fruits, horticulture, floriculture. Few of them are growing vegetables, but they are also limited to some black seeds, potatoes, tomatoes. The like if we move towards fruit farming and allied activities along with agriculture should be promoted here, like fisheries, poultry, animal husbandry, etc. So these things should be promoted particularly in Jharkhand because if we look at the topography and the soil profile of Jharkhand, it is not as fertile as of the northern plains, that is of Bihar, Punjab, etc. So if we want to do very intensive farming like those areas, we will fail miserably. So the techniques, rather modern techniques, should be implemented like irrigation drip and sprinkler techniques, which are highly subsidized by the government if you use them. Moreover, they also use very less water and are very efficient. They should be introduced. Second, allied activities should be introduced. And third, deviation from the paddy cultivation, paddy farming. Rather, they should be moving towards value addition crops, high value crops, etc.
Okay, very good, Ankit. Now come to another question related to Jharkhand. In spite of abundance of mineral resources Jharkhand is very poor in industrial development. What are the reasons?
So the main reason which I say is Jharkhand has always been politically unstable.
Very good.
It is one of the major reasons because if you turn the pages of history, you will find that when the ruler was strong, when there was political stability, the state was prosperous right from the beginning of the Maurya period. From in the period of Alauddin Khilji, you see that there was economic prosperity because there was political stability. And if there's no political stability, all the things become anarchy runs throughout, and the things are very difficult to execute. And that is why I think it is one of the major reasons because Jharkhand never had a stable government. That is why it suffers in the terms of economic and industrial development.
Very good, Ankit. Very wonderful session with you. I wish all the best for you.
Thank you, sir.
And perhaps this session will help many other students, other aspirants also. Thank you very much for joining this Google Meet session. Thank you very much.
Yes.